Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Governor Sanwo-Olu unveils theme of rebuilding the destroyed Lagos structures as presidency, CBN and legislature back Lagos recovery efforts. 70 university students kidnapped along Kaduna-Abuja Road as gunmen killed 11 persons in fresh Kaduna attack. NLC rejects fresh petrol price hike, says there's a limit to what Nigerians can tolerate. And later on the show, government warns worship centers, religious leaders against second wave of COVID-19. I'll be hanging out with Wale Adeoye, Olabisi Deji Folutile, and Asuko James. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The destroyed structure are now to be rebuilt in Lagos State, Nigeria's commercial hub, which suffered massive destruction of infrastructure in the violence that trailed the EndSARS protest in October. The recovery effort has begun in earnest, with the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu inaugurating an 8-man team to coordinate rebuilding of assets destroyed in the states. The Vice President, Yemi Oshibajo, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, Governor of Nigeria's Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, and other dignitaries pledged support for the initiative. Governor Sanwo-Olu says the consultative forum will set the stage for necessary public-private partnership required for rebuilding of the destroyed infrastructure. Let's share the story with you.
The massive destruction of public and private property by hoodlums during the EndSARS protest has brought political and business tycoons to Lagos for this dialogue. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu had revealed that the destruction may cost the state close to ₦1 trillion. Despite the incident, the governor has kept his eyes on rebuilding the state known for its excellence. To achieve this, he signed an executive order for the formation of an 8-man board.
Thank you very much.
Their duty is simple: to restore the nation's economic capital and business hub back to its glory days. Yemi Cardoso is the head of the board of the Lagos Rebuild Trust Fund.
By reason of our love for Lagos, we're fully committed to the restoration, rehabilitation, and rebuilding of this great state.
Speaking on the pictorial evidence of the October carnage that shows that destruction of historic archives, public buildings, police stations, financial institutions, courts, palaces, and media houses, Governor Sanwo-Olu says the violence has set back Lagos' economy by tens of billions of naira.
Let me assure you all that we will bounce back. We do not take it for chance, because this is who we are. This is what Lagos is: a resilient people, an irrepressible city. This is our history. This, we believe, is in our DNA.
Vice Presidents, members of the National Assembly and Bankers Committee are worried and not ready to sit idle for things to degenerate beyond repairs in the country.
There is a moral, social, and ethical reconstruction to be undertaken as well. We must rebuild trust between the government and the governed, the vast majority of who are young persons. Trust between the law enforcement agents and the communities that they are meant to serve. Never again should law enforcement find itself on the opposite side of any conflict with society.
The Kakobel Alliance would, over the next week, be unveiling a blueprint that will provide details of our planned support that will positively affect households and businesses. In an effort to support the government at enhancing the security of our nation, the Kakobel Alliance has committed to the rehabilitation and rebuilding of all the 44 police stations that were damaged as a result of the unrest.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
The state government says it is closely working with the people and organizations who believe in the Lagos dream, those who are ready to commit their resources to the glory of the state. And this our people who call Lagos home. Aderoja Salam Adeniyi, TVC News, Lagos.
Quoting Governor Akinwumi Ambode, I've been quoting Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, beg your pardon, saying that we will bounce back. And Wale Adeoye, looking at what happened, and if you can recollect the number of days and that the carnage took place in Lagos, what was it like that even if you want to register our displeasure against government, if we want to carry placards and do, this is not the first protest that will take place in Nigeria. This dangerous dimension of destroying critical infrastructure, destroying what we all built, what it took years of building, took years to get to where Lagos is right now, with the infrastructure, with the BRT and the houses and everything. How did you get to here?
Well, I think like the governor said, looking at the heritage of Lagos State, which goes back to over 600 years ago, and even in the colonial era, Lagos was the hub of activism against colonialism, the struggle for nationalism, for freedom and all that. Even against military rule, Lagos was the bastion of resistance. And we've never had this kind of destruction. During the Q12 crisis, there are so many riots.
To the streets.
As far back as 1908, when people were rioting against increasing water rate, people protested in a very civil manner. So what happened? I think we need to probe beyond the ordinary. I still find it difficult to understand why people on their own will go and burn BRT buses, for instance, that is meant for the masses. They go and burn City Hall that was built in 1900, the first administrative
historical building
of local government history in Nigeria. Igbo High Court, the oldest in Nigeria, and in fact the DNA laboratory, because when people commit crime, that is the only forensic laboratory in the whole of in fact, the whole of southern Nigeria,
Nigeria.
That where you can trace people's fingerprints and also why do people decide to attack? So it means like to me, it looks like an organized,
premeditated.
Yes, exactly a reflection of what the governors said when they came in here, attacking media houses. That though the TV news is owned by private organizations, but it's performing public functions. It has become the pillar of free speech, of freedom of expression for millions of people all over the world. So I can't imagine anyone just coming to come and burn down, this infrastructure like that. So I think there should be thorough investigation to find out why this kind of thing happened, whether it's a result of an organized crime or a kind of, I don't understand, but we need to probe beyond beyond the surface. And I'm happy about the panel that is going on. I hope they will do a lot of investigation on this so that in future we may learn to protect our critical assets, because this thing can happen again. Lagos is not just important for Nigeria, it's important for the whole of West Africa. It is the 5th biggest economy in the whole of Africa, and is the biggest black pride. We are talking about population of almost about 21 million people. About 128,000 people come into Lagos, every day. About 86 people enter Lagos in just 1 minute. It's the hub, it's the safe haven.
86 in 1 minute.
Yes, it's the safe haven for everybody all over. There is no family in this country that do not have one kind of link with Lagos. So we cannot afford to allow this state to sink. It is the heritage of all of us, and we have to stand up to protect it. So I'm happy with what the governor has done. But I also think that beyond, the raising of funds by corporate organizations, they should also think of crowdfunding. Personally, I would like to make my donation, no matter how small it is. People on the street.
To show that we are paying.
If 10 million people put down 2,000 naira, that gives you about 20 billion. That is something. So I think they should also consider crowdfunding, because a lot of people are paying by what happened, about that, the level of the story. It's quite painful. I will hope it does not happen again.
Well, obviously, this kind of dimension is quite worrisome and it's dangerous. And if we allow this to happen again, it might wreak more disaster than this.
I think he mentioned something that we should also focus on. It is not enough to have assets, but we also need to protect our assets. I think as a nation, I don't think we are doing too well in that aspect, because what we have been able to realize now is that these assets were easily destroyed without any form of hindrance, to show that we failed at protecting our assets. If you look at other countries, you know, in the developed parts of the world, you realize that they vote as much money as necessary to protect their assets. So it is not enough to invest money in building assets. It is also very important to start thinking of how to protect our common heritage, so that we don't experience what we experienced during the last NSAS protest. Having said that too, I also think that the level of assault and destruction goes beyond the immediate thing that we can all conclude about. There are some factors responsible for the kind of assets that were chosen for destruction and the way those destructions were carried out. The destructions were carried out in such a way that it's like a permanent destruction, no mercy form of destruction. We show that the people that were doing those things were really, they knew what they were after. I believe it is premeditated, and I think we should also query the reasons why those assets were also made targets. What informed the decision of this? You know, the vice president said something about rebuilding trust. So we should not be talking about rebuilding the state alone. I believe we should also talk about rebuilding trust and also finding out the reasons for the breakdown of trust and the reasons for the targeted destruction. Even though whoever perpetrated that should not be spared. I think we should find a way of getting them and getting them punished.
Asuko, this is like an indication that government has failed people. And the reaction throughout the NSAS protests itself and the destruction and the carnage that took place after the aftermath of anything. And you see people that have lost hope. You see people that nothing matters to them. They are not sure of the next meal. Because this kind of despondency, hopelessness, that is what can push you to the, if you go to Cross River State and you see Tinapa, the beautiful Tinapa project. It
was also attacked.
It was attacked beyond recognition.
It was destroyed.
You were Calabar then?
I went there on Wednesday, you know, before the Thursday that it was attacked. And I was like, what happened? This is somewhere that just 24 hours ago, I was there. I was even looking at the beauty of the place that has been, in quotes, almost abandoned, you know. They've wrecked the entire place. The Calabar International Center, the governor was almost shedding tears because it would take the government about 5 billion to rehabilitate again, you know. Just like in Lagos, you know, it was like vandalized. It was premeditated. They knew what they wanted to do, and they went for those critical.
What was responsible for that kind of
the thing is, it is the distrust people have in government. Sometimes people just feel that, okay, if for instance, government can bring a policy that is supposed to accommodate everybody. And eventually, instead of accommodating those who, in quotes, are that can merit a particular position, a particular employment, eventually what you will see is someone who doesn't merit it getting it. So once you hear things like that, like the NNPC, for instance, I've heard people who go for these interviews, they get towards the end. And at the end of the day, they tell you that one person from one particular region who didn't even pass now has a job. And it is like that in most of the agencies. Now, Ayo, when you hear things like that...
They're advertising 2-1 and 2-2 for teacher first class.
Exactly.
But when it comes to NNPC jobs,
Federal
Inland Revenue Service jobs, CBN jobs, it will be for
a particular set of people. So this kind of anger is what you saw outside on that NSAS. It turned out from the police brutality, from police brutality, they started, the language started changing.
Yes, to misgovernance.
To misgovernance. And then they just wanted to have a taste of what governance was. And that is because some people have tried to get employment, they can't, because of all these bottlenecks that they face. So, just like the Vice President is saying, they have their job cut out for them. They need to start talking to the youth. They need to start making the youth believe in the government. Because whether you like it or...
It shows that all the programs...
let me tell you, all the programs... Okay, look at the last program.
That was going to ameliorate poverty has not gotten to where it's going to get to.
The last program that they said they want to give 774 local governments.
20,000.
Look at 20,000 naira. Do you know the number of first class graduates that are looking for that that applied for that 20,000 naira job? It is as bad as that. Now we also Wale was saying something about keeping our infrastructure. I am worried because this protest has really opened so many people's eyes to see that there are things that we can't even handle anymore. Because any small thing like this, people just want to go to, this is our infrastructure. The same thing almost happened in Amuodofi today. They almost went to the police station to go and burn the police station.
Why?
They wanted to go to the bank to go and burn. Just for the government to do their job, they don't want the government to do their job. They just want to go to the bank and burn. They want to go to the bank and loot. They want you understand? So they now want to use this protest to begin to perpetrate their own...
of this new trend.
It's becoming a trend.
Okay, I have Alhaji Babangida on the line from Niger State, from Adamawa State. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Mr. Ayo, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Mr. Ayo, I want to contribute about this answers.
Go ahead, please.
You see the destruction that carry in Lagos, I am not happy, Mr. Ayo. Because, Lagos is the #1 city in Nigeria. And let me tell you, Mr. Ayo, this thing, it is not about answers. They plan to destroy Lagos, let me tell you, if you don't know. So please, Mr. Ayo, let us have to be very careful. Because I used to have people who will come and sit in the media and be saying, let the government have to take time, let the government have to take time. We should cooperate and build this country, please. And not the way they destroy TVC. TVC is not a good watch.
Thank you. And so, how do we douse this kind of anger? These are youths that they don't trust the government again. These are kind of people that, they look at politicians and they look at them as dishonest set of people that, after all, most of their children are abroad and they've settled themselves. The first thing, if anybody is elected into public office, the first thing he does for his immediate family to take them abroad. And the youths are here languishing after NYSC, 4 or 5 years after post-NYSC, no job to do.
There's no doubt that there is hunger everywhere, all over the country. And we must do something before it is too late. Before it is too late. You see, when people have pent up anger, anything can, throw it up. And the consequences could be terrible. An hungry man is an angry man. And I think when people have no jobs, when they wake up, they are hopeless. They don't even know what to eat from morning till night. And in the midst of this mystery, you see people, that are not better than them, not better educated, not better endowed, living in stupendous wealth. Even using that word to intimidate them. You see Facebook people showing off their wealth because they are in parliament and all that. So intimidating people that are being exploited. So I think leaders should begin to to think that what should we do to ensure that we prevent a situation where there will be anarchy. There's so much anger everywhere you go, and people are looking for a way to vent this anger. The nearest thing to them, they are ready to express the anger in the most vicious manner. What we are seeing in other parts of the country, starting in this manner, northeast, northwest, people are now taking gun, fighting and all that, because it appears nobody listening to anyone, you know. So I think we need to, you know, our politicians should be a bit reflective. They should sit down, and it has to start with the way they, you know, the decisions they take on the kind of lifestyle that they live. If we are talking about poor economy, people are hungry, government cannot fund roads, government cannot fund health, government cannot fund schools, government cannot fund anything. But the salaries of politicians, of senators, of House of Rep, you know, has not been, you know, it has not, one naira has not been taken out of it. Even during COVID-19, that people stayed at home, you know, we all stayed at home, but, you know, people in government, you know, senators and all that, they are collecting their money, so they should show a good example.
And hardship allowance.
Hardship allowance. Even when people are not doing anything. So, you see, we don't want a situation where you will lose everything that you have if you don't do the right thing at the right time. Look at how the increase in fuel price, electricity tariff. We are just talking about that on the another increase again. Where do you want people to go? No jobs, you know, you don't have anyone to lean on. So when people are pushed to the wall, it's a danger for the rich and for the poor. So we need to take drastic action, and we have to go beyond rhetorics. We have to be seen in a very practical way, creating jobs, creating wealth, restoring hope where there is despair, and to reinforce the confidence of people that, you know, our leaders are actually ready to listen to us before it is too late.
Government, from what Wale is saying, government should take a deliberate step to address, you know,
the problems in the
problems
country.
on ground. Because if you look at the number of the so-called area boys compared to, you know, regular people on the street now, the way they took over the streets, the way the hoodlums took over the streets, the way they set up roadblocks during the NSAS protest, by the time it is, you know, all the state roads, you discover that they are really, you know, their numerical strength is growing from leaps and bounds.
The unfortunate thing happening now is that we now have two sets of youths that are angry and showing their anger. The first set are the educated ones who don't have jobs. They've gone to school, some have studied up to PhD level, and they don't have anything to do. And they see politicians send their children to school abroad. When they come back to Nigeria, they take up the few opportunities, the few job opportunities that are available. He mentioned the fact about NNPC jobs, other federal, CBN and things like that, you know.
The juicy ones.
The juicy ones. You know,
Yes,
you can predict the people that will be there. The children of the rich are always there. So these youths, the educated ones, they are angry. And they are the ones that started the NSAS protest. They are still organized to a large extent. Then we now have another set, the ones that we call the hoodlums, the ones that we call the agros.
Let me quickly pay these bills. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangouts. Please stay with us. Your multi-award winning program, Journalist Hangouts, reaching you live here from Lagos, Nigeria. And we're talking about the destruction and attempt by the Lagos state government to start rebuilding Lagos, especially those assets that were destroyed during the aftermath of the NSAS protest.
Yeah, so the federal government actually, and not even the federal government alone, I think government at all levels need to do something. They need to be seen to be working. We have gone past the stage of rhetorics, where you say you are creating jobs that people are not feeling. You say you have created, you are the only one telling yourself what you have done. The people that you have done those things for,
anytime you list it as part of your achievements.
But the people are not feeling these things. So, and if you are doing something that people are not feeling, then something must be wrong. There must be a gap somewhere. Apparently now, Nigerian youths are not feeling this government. and they need to feel government. And I think people in authority should just put on their thinking cap. This is not the time to talk about what we are going to do, what we are planning to do. This is the time that we should be seeing what government is doing. Executing. Those are the things that people need. And I think those are the kind of things that can actually remove the pent-up anger that are in this youth. For the hoodlums, you know, they don't have anything to lose. They've been used to living rough lives. In fact, they don't even have homes. These are people that are hopeless. And they want
the
like
next meal is not certain.
The Yoruba people will say that the person that his own is bad is looking for another person to join him, so that person's own will become bad too. You know, they don't have anything to lose. Once if they destroy anything, you are saying that they even look at you that you are privileged. You have a house to sleep in. They don't even have houses. You are talking about destruction of mass transit buses. They don't use them. They don't even have the money to even. They don't even know where to go to. They don't know. So they don't feel what you are feeling. All they just feel is that join us. We are hungry. Whatever you are enjoying, we also want you to lose it. And the way we are going, if we don't control it, even the people that think they are secure, they will soon feel it. We've been predicting this thing for years, that it will get to a point in Nigeria that even the so-called people that think they have all the security, they will feel this thing. People will go after them. They will become the targets. And honestly, I don't think we should get to that point.
Exactly. Yes. I saw one very funny video. The guy, he was looking so funny. He said this from Ikorodu. He said those people in Ikoyi, on the island in Lekki, they are living things. And those people in Ikorodu, they are not living things. When I saw it, and I was like, he was trying to define the inequality.
Exactly.
And I, critically, because yes, it will be good to say, oh, who can be in his or her right senses to go to Igbo, to go to King's College, to destroy those kind of buildings. Now, from our discussion, you can now see that, look, it's as a result of pent-up anger. That means the intervention of governments, maybe the Niger Delta, you remember in 2014, when the Yar'Adua administration faced these Niger Delta guys squarely. And today, we have relative peace in the Niger Delta. Even if you can't say they can sustain it for a long time. But since that time, because they were able to initiate a program that had a direct impact. So, government right now on this youth, because an average Nigerian youth is like...
Yeah, I think that thankfully the Lagos State government is coming up with this trust fund. And now that they want to start the rebuilding of all this infrastructure, they shouldn't just leave it to the bourgeoisies, you know, to say, okay, fine, we want to look for people who can do it. They can engage these guys, these hoodlums, the ones that can go into, what is it called? Direct labor. They can employ them, you know, and this will reduce. Because I believe not all of them are senseless. Some of them also have this, they have human feeling. Some of them will be willing to work, provided you treat them like human beings. Because if you don't treat them like that, is when you see them carrying guns and trying to rob. But if you employ them, you bring them closer. That is why we are saying that this is the time to heal in Lagos. And part of the healing process should also involve them. No matter where they are, whether in Bariga, in Ketu, in Badagry, anywhere they are, with the intelligence that the police is getting, they can fish these people out, they can get them and talk to them. Because every time should not be about trying to arrest them. We shouldn't just be arresting. This is the time to bring them closer and talk to them. Look at during the NSAS period, I saw the soldiers talking to some of them. And they listened. It's not that these soldiers have two heads or whatever, but they just believe that, okay, we are not using guns, but government is listening to you, you guys should not quarrel. And they listened and they started clapping for the soldiers. The government can do the same thing. That is the only way these people can, that is the only way the rebuilding can start. Let's get where these guys are. Let's bring them closer. They are not robots. They are human beings. Talk to them. if we are going to rebuild this particular place, where do you stay? We don't even need them to, we know that, okay, the one, anything that has been destroyed in a particular area, look for the ones around there. Employ them and give them what they want. The ones anywhere that we have this infrastructure that has been destroyed, that they want to rebuild, get them, the ones that are living close there, speak to them and then employ them. I tell you, very soon, those same guys are the ones that will protect those infrastructure. They won't destroy it. Because what Lagos has lost, it will take years for it to be rebuilt. I don't want to talk about the one in this compound. 42 cars destroyed.
Yeah, 42 cars.
Destroyed.
The ones that didn't burn, they were
smashing the windscreen. So,
anger.
With anger. So we just want to say, now we want to start the healing. And the healing is for us to bring them, talk to them. The police can do it. The soldiers, the police cannot do it because there's a serious distrust between the people and the police right now. The governor can beg the soldiers, especially the one we saw during the NSAS, please go and talk to these guys. Employ them, write their names wherever, even if they don't have a shelter over their heads, they can always come and work for the government. Because that is the only way we need to move Lagos forward. Because being the 5th largest economy in Africa is no mean feat. We need Lagos to start working again. Lagos has gotten to that height whereby some people call it a country. Just like what they said, there's nobody in Nigeria that doesn't have one person in Lagos. Nobody. You will see some people say, Lagos is like London to some people, Ayo. Yeah. There are some people that will tell me that they just want to come to Lagos just to spend just 2 nights. Just 2 nights. They are not saying they want to stay forever. So we need this process to start. Thank God they are rebuilding. Let's the rebuilding start with those guys.
Okay. I have Mr. Joy Bokwe calling us. Thank you. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Nice to have you. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, Ayo. Good afternoon, thank you.
Okay.
You can hear me, Abi?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I say unemployment all the time, but it didn't start today. It started when I went back in 1985, did my youth service in 1986. I did my youth service in 1986, and I found Lagos for 2 years until I went to NDE and I'm a better person. Anybody who is privileged to go through any university to be able to start something, we should manage this entitlement that you must get a job. In fact, in the 80s, people want to do so many things to earn a living. Government cannot do everything. I'm not saying I work for government now. As a private, before I even joined government, I have made some I had a success story, before I joined government. So, with this entitlement system. And I want to tell you that some of our young people don't want to work. I can tell you, I told them what to do to get out of poverty, they ran away. And they ran away. This is a personal experience I have with some of these guys. Have no even entry, they have no entry qualification to even close the gate of university. 4 years of being a graduate. That's what we're seeing. They have no entry requirement to cross the gate of university to graduate. They can make a simple correct sentence, but not all of them.
Okay. I want to thank you, Mr. Joy Bokwe. Joy Bokwe is the special advisor on environment to the governor of Lagos State. They call him as the one.
Social advisor on drainage.
Social advisor on drainage. And
well, I know there will be so many people out there who would want to disagree with him over some of what he has said.
He was talking about sense of entitlement.
Yes.
He was talking about people they should try to scratch something out of nothing. That he came to Lagos and he had to.
The thing is, people will also say that, okay, when he came to Lagos, there were some things that were in place on the ground before he started.
That things weren't as bad as
this. I'm very sure there are so many youth out there who don't want government to feed them. But the only thing they want is for government to get that environment ready and conducive for them to survive. That is the only thing they need.
I also think for people in power to say that people have a sense of entitlement, I don't agree. Because also people in government have responsibilities to offer to the people. That is why they are being fed. That is why they are being paid. That is why they make life, the government makes life comfortable for them, so that they will be able to also offer some kind of responsibilities and services to the people. So if people are demanding what they rightly deserve, it shouldn't be seen as entitlement. It should be seen as duty of government towards the governed. I want us to look at it from that perspective.
I think there are many perspectives. He has just mentioned one perspective. That cannot replace the whole gamut of, the issues that we are discussing. There are people that genuinely need the government
to help them,
to lift them up. So that does not diminish his argument. But there are also people genuinely that they need electricity.
Exactly.
They need good roads. They need security that only government can provide for them.
Some people just need constant power supply.
That's all.
So that they can do their business.
Yeah, exactly. They need a stable economy. Not when you want to import something and then you can't even go across the border. And let me also add that, as we are talking about rebuilding Lagos, the federal government needs to play a very important role. Because Lagos has been shortchanged for a very long time. In 1991, thereabout, when the capital was moved from Lagos to Abuja, nothing was paid to Lagos. Contrary to tradition all over the world. When the capital was moved from Bonn to Berlin, they paid 1.4 billion euro as compensation to Bonn. So nothing has been paid since 1992, December 12, 1992. So, and this thing has happened again. So we are waiting to see what critical input that the federal government is going to make in terms of this effort to rebuild the state.
All right, moving on now. After much lull, kidnappers have again struck along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. The bandits reportedly whisked away 17 students of the Ahmadu Bello University, ABU, Zaria. The 300-level students of the Department of French were traveling to Lagos for their language immersion program at the Nigerian French village before their abduction. Meanwhile, armed men stormed Albasu village in Igbabi local government area of Kaduna State, killing 11 persons and leaving 4 others injured. Eyewitnesses say the attackers stormed the village on motorcycles, destroyed properties, and carted away cows. Let's share what happened in the Kaduna-Abuja highway on Sunday with you.
Hanyar Kaduna zuwa Abuja saboda labarin da aka samu na cewa barayi ko masu satar mutane sun fito kan wannan hanyar wanda kuma ya nuna irin hali na rashin tsaro da wannan yankin yake ciki.
So ga mu nan dai cikin wani irin yanayi da kawai mu da mun taho an ci mana kawai mu tsaya ga wasu daga wani hannu suka ce mu sauri mu juya waɗannan suke gaban mu ma an tare su suna can gaba saboda haka mu dai ga mu nan da mu san halin da muke ciki ba. Okay, don't worry. Nothing will Nobody will drink water. You don't drink water. Except you guys. No, no, give them water. Nobody is giving water. That's what I'm telling them. Giving water. You will not die. Nothing will happen to you.
Yawa, ga shi nan shi ne a cikin wannan motar za a wuce da shi.
Za a kai shi asibiti.
Za a kai shi asibiti. Allah ya tsare kiyaye na gaba.
Some people will say the primary responsibility of government is safety of life and property. That's basic. This one now, we're not talking about creating jobs, we're not talking about creating a conducive environment for business, but protection. Now, government is failing or has failed in this, this the basic responsibility. What is happening in Abuja, Kaduna Express Road there, it has been happening for over 4 years.
Yeah.
People now cannot ply that road. The rich ones, they will opt to take the train. Wale?
Well, I think it's very unfortunate that this thing happens almost every week. We are talking about two, instances of violence now. The kidnap of the ABU students who are coming to Badagry, to the French school, and then what happened in Kajuri, in Kaduna, where on Monday and then on Sunday, where people were attacked and some people were killed. It's quite unfortunate that, because I think as of October, El Rufai was holding meetings and we thought almost everything would be over. Peace meetings, and then people were laughing, and that was the end, that there would no conflict again. So it's so surprising that in spite of all the efforts, this thing has happened again. I'm really worried because there is the chance that it will happen again. These students that were picked, we saw their names. Women are involved, students just taken away like that. Who knows what will happen? There are even, there are girls among them.
The trauma they
are going to pass through, and then it keeps on happening almost all the time. Sometimes they release them, sometimes they kill them. So, and this highway, we all know that it is now notorious. It happens almost every time. So I find it difficult to understand why the government cannot find a solution, even if it's a kind of constant area, surveillance, so that whatever happens there, you can. In the past, they used to kidnap people in the evening, so that before we start looking for them to be late in the night, then they would have taken their victim into the remotest part of the forest. But these days, they do it in broad daylight. Those who came to Kajuru came in the afternoon, and they shot everywhere, and then kidnap people, and then they just walk away like that. Sometimes they move for hours, and nothing happens, and days nobody can locate these people. So it's quite unfortunate. It's causing an international embarrassment. But I think the Kaduna State government cannot resolve this problem alone. It needs the cooperation of the federal government and international communities. Because I think there is a breakdown of trust. The people inside that community appears not to have trust in the process. Some of them think it is elite driven. But the fact of the matter is that both sides, the Hausa Fulani and then the other people, they are all victims. They are killing them. So it has become a kind of situation where you have vindictive, vengeance killing, hate killing. It's not based on any reason, but just because this person is Fulani, then you kill him. This person is from Chikum, you kill him. He's from Qatar, you kill him. So it's like rivalry that is not actually defined. People just want to settle scores on primordial differences. So I think we should see this as a national challenge, and work out a solution that will involve all parties beyond the stakeholders in Kaduna State. Northern areas should be so concerned. It's unfortunate Balarabe Musa is no longer there, but there are many important people that come from Kaduna State, that I think they should be worried about what is going on. And even other leaders, traditional rulers from every part of the north, because this thing can snowball, into a national crisis if it is not well managed.
Busy, the insecurity, not even in Northeast alone, northwest, north central, across the country, there's insecurity. And our security agencies seem to be overwhelmed.
They are apparently overwhelmed. You look at the issue of Boko Haram, we are still struggling with that in the northeast, and you talk about bandits. But then, who gave birth to bandits and what gave birth to bandits? I think we should look at it from that perspective. How did we arrive at people that are bandits? I will still trace it back to failure of government in one way or the other. Now, how many of these bandits are educated? We talk about out-of-school children. We talk about over 13 million children in Nigeria that are out of school. When you have a large population
especially in the north.
Especially, yes, many of them are in the north. Now, there was a time that the governor, Masari, came out to say it publicly that the bandits, the out-of-school children that were in the north have become bandits. When you have an army of out-of-school children, something is going to happen at the end of the day. When you don't educate your youth, when you don't educate children, when they grow up, and unfortunately these people are the people that will marry early, they will also give birth, and they won't be able to take care of the children they are giving birth to. So they send them to the streets, and we now have an army of bandits all over the place. So I think the North needs to take care of the education aspect of their youth much more seriously. Of course, that is not going to solve the problem now, but it is going to prevent a future problem. I think they should. I know that the northern governors are holding meetings from time to time on the issue of out-of-school children in the region, but I think they should do more. They should ensure that more, at least let the North spare the rest of the country that burden of out-of-school children and solve that problem.
All right. We sign off on an entertainment platform. You can join us on DSTV 418, GoTV 45, and other platforms across the world. We'll be right back after this time out. Asuko, looking at the way forward, it has been a kind of challenge. Our security architecture, a lot of people, they've questioned it, and they've said it is time it should be overhauled.
Yeah, because there was a time where they had the National Security Summit. So there was an emergency meeting of the Security Council back then, and the National Security Advisor was saying they will come out with an holistic plan on how to deal with insecurity. Because then it was like kidnapping was just the order of the day, banditry was the order of the day. From the northwest to even this, it was coming down to the south and to the southwest, and that was why we decided to go and come up with a Amotekun,
Yes, because it affected.
Yes, it affected southwest, and then the north central was more like an ethnic thing, So right now, with what is happening in Kaduna, that Kaduna-Abuja highway, there was a time there was air surveillance. All of a sudden it stopped, But generally for the insecurity in the country, I think it will take like a superstar who understands Nigeria and the dynamics of security. Because as it stands now, it's like those in charge of security, they've lost hope. And we are just like, to your turn, to Israel. We are talking about Lagos and the NSAS protests and how insecure it is. Because if you look at even in Lagos, the police officers, they are not even on the roads again. That one is another insecurity on its own. So we need to sit down. If we are going to have a national security summit, whereby every region, everybody, every state will come up with solutions on how to deal with this thing, I think it will help us. Because as it stands now, just like we are saying, the northern governors, they meet regularly. The last time they met, they were talking about social media bill regulation. That is not their business. The business is how to secure their region, to secure that north. Because anything that happens there comes down to the south. Because after a while, you will start hearing that even Amoteku will be overwhelmed. And we don't want that to happen. So the federal government will have to help, whether they will need to do that national security summit where everybody will come and say, this is our own idea of securing Nigeria. And then the government should take it as an holistic plan on how to help us. Because we don't know what next year will bring. People, we are talking about Kaduna, Abuja. We've not even said something about Lagos to Ibadan. The last time we were even traveling from Lagos to Akure, they were saying, you guys better move fast so that you don't get to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So everywhere is tensed. You can't even drive on the road anymore. So we need to find an holistic solution to security. And the government needs to do it.
I have a caller. Rashid is calling us from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Rashid.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, Rashid. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, thank you for the talk you're discussing. I just want to make my own contribution to this.
Okay.
You see the issue of insecurity. Yes, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is simply caused by the trend of bad governance we've been having in Nigeria from 1960 to date. So remember when we were under the military, we thought democracy is going to help. So when we came to democracy and we discovered that the democracy the people were having in governance today are not better than those that ruled us during the military. And if you look at it very well, most of them were ex-military men. And coming to what is happening today, how do you expect me to be happy with what is happening? Because the colonial masters left this country better than it is today. After the colonial masters, we have people that have ruled us in this country that are Nigerians. Tell me, my brother, what have they done? Go through the books in Nigeria and see how much they have expended on roads from 1999 to date. Go to our roads today and see the stage of these roads, my brother. Who has been held accountable for those? Now the truth is this: how do you expect me in my late 30s going to 40? I've been told that we are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, and these people that are ruling us, we knew about these people when we were still kids. Now they have failed this country completely. Imagine you finish, you can't get a job. Even if you want a job, where's the job?
Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your contribution. We have to move on. The recent hike in the pump price of petrol to 170 naira per litre has come without much noise, but not many are keeping quiet over the increase. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has warned that there's a limit to what Nigerians can tolerate. In a statement, President of the NLC, Ayuba Waba, says Nigerians cannot be made to bleed endlessly for failures of successive governments to properly manage the country's refinery. He asked the government to account for the several turnaround maintenance projects undertaken, which he believes were poorly and barely executed. That's the Nigerian Labour Congress. BC, let me start from you. Nigeria, a lot of people, if you talk to people now, they will tell you that Nigerian Labour Congress is like another arm of the All Progressive Congress. That Labour and NLC in Nigeria is just an arm of APC. That there's no distinction because the role that Labour is meant to play, that this is like the third, fourth time that this is happening, and Labour, instead of this press conference or press statement, they failed severally to mobilize Nigerians against something.
Actually,
like,
the truth of the matter is, maybe NSC does not know. Nobody takes them seriously.
I'm telling you,
Nigerians don't
even,
Nigerians don't take them.
APC.
In fact, a friend was telling me that who is NLC, that don't mind those ones. That in any case, that people that don't know them, maybe they still manage to deceive some people that don't know them. But the point is, a lot of Nigerians have seen through them. In fact, if they don't know,
especially the leadership of
what they think is that the leadership is even working for government. If they don't know, maybe I should just tell them.
And that's the perception out there.
The perception out there is that
that's the perception.
They are just an arm of government, and that they just come out to toothless bulldog. They just come out to talk so that it doesn't appear that they will have made a point if the last time the petroleum price was raised, and all the talk about going on strike that everybody was prepared for, and they even fixed the time, and Nigerians at that time thought, oh, this NLC has actually come to our side. This time around, they are doing something for us. But they were terribly disappointed because 12 a.m. I think 12:45 a.m. They called off that strike that was to begin at 7 a.m. So really,
so it was just like
they are not working for government. So this time around now, I mean, look at it now. We are in Nigeria. We are not small people in this country. Who does what we are experiencing now? That you increase the price of fuel from, even let's take it from after COVID. What was the cost? What was the price? I think 145. 141 naira.
147.
Okay, 147 naira. And today it is 170. We are talking of, and we are talking of a pandemic era. We are talking of a time where people's people have lost their jobs, where income has gone down, where prices of other items in the market have skyrocketed. In fact, now onion is an essential commodity.
It's like gold.
It's like gold. Now, you now come again. And these fuel stations, so smart, so sweet. Immediately
that is what they are
waiting for. Immediately they
adjust
the meter.
But if it's the reduction,
no, they will wait. They will tell you that
they don't got an order from the
it's old stock.
Yes, it's old stock. So really, NLC is not making any impact as it should be. A labor organization like theirs should at least fight for their constituency. Nigerian workers as of today are not finding it funny at all. In fact, they are 30,000 naira minimum wage. I'm sure they will have wished that they stayed on 18,000 naira and everything remained the way they were before now.
Adewale, I'm sure even the civil society, what they do is that most of them, they wait on the Nigerian Labour Congress or whatever they do, because the civil society feels that they don't have the capacity to drive it alone. So they want the Nigerian Labour Congress to champion this cause.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the NLC under Ayuba Waba has failed the civil society too.
It's a very unfortunate thing. The NLC is the most organized body that can galvanize the working people, with about 5 million members spread all over the country. Of course, with the Trade Union Congress. But in the absence of the NLC, there is little the civil society can do. The best they can do is advocacy and litigation. Because in terms of numerical strength, it's only the NLC that has that power. So it's very unfortunate that the NLC does not appear to be doing the right thing, at least in the eye of many Nigerians. Remember this NSAS. The NLC was giving ultimatum to government, and everybody was hopeful. If the NLC had led that rally, there probably wouldn't have been NSAS. And it would have been a well-organized rally that would have actually added to the reputation of Labour. But that didn't happen. And that fueled, it contributed in fueling the anger of many Nigerians, that now decided to, let's join NSAS, even without Labour. And it was a successful, rally before it, got out of hand. Now, if NLC fails to play its traditional role, it may set the country on a bad route. because you are now saying that workers can do whatever they like. They can, it can lead to people taking laws into their hand. Because when the central organization fails to provide leadership for them, what the Ayuba has said now is just we are getting this and all about just a statement.
Statement.
In June, the price was 121. In July, 143. August, 150. Now, we're in November. It's 170. Look at the increase. Look at the percentage of increase. I mean, I can't understand. And I was expecting the Labour to have come out with a program of action, even if it's 1 day, 1 day strike. 1 day, 1 day strike. Because NSA has the capacity, it has the structure. So I think it's quite unfortunate. I hope Ayuba will not want his name to be written on the wrong side of history.
If it has not been written. I have Razak from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Razak.
Ayo.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead with your contribution.
I've been trying to get journalists and that.
Now you are on now. Now you are on. So maximize your time.
So that one, the problem we are having in this country is that most times we fail to do proper systemic analysis. Now, what I think is that one, the refinery, whatever you are saying on the program for now, so that strike is not the best of the option. However, if we have to strike, kind of effort that people put into NSAS is what we should mobilize to face. Because if Buhari has been there since 2015, and I fought for him with my blood twice, the reason why the government will use almost 6 years without fixing one refinery. So the issue is that if they have been deregulated, you can't do anything. It's market regulation. But why must we have one refinery in the whole of the country and one is working? Even if you want to set up a new one, you cannot use 3 years.
Thank you, Abdulrazak. Thank you for your contribution. I think Abdulrazak has just gone to the subject matter. You know, we're building it. We're building it from the press statement of NLC, from what they said and everything. So Abdulrazak decided to just, he went ahead. Now, talking about 6 years, and we are always talking about turnaround maintenance in their press statements. Turnaround maintenance, and this same government is waiting for Dangote refinery. And the way we are waiting for Dangote refinery is as if that will be the solution to our problems. Or government
that seems to be the solution to the problem, because if for 6 years this government could not build one refinery, not even the big refinery, a modular refinery that will have FG on it, not the private, because right now we have private companies who are into modular refinery. As in the federal government saying in each state, maybe in the south, in the north, we have like two each. Modular refinery, it would have made a lot of sense. In 6 years, they would have done that. But what we have noticed is that every year they come back and they tell you that they are trying to maintain and to turn around one particular
capacity is not enough.
It's not, can never be. It can never be.
As at the time it was built in the 60s, we don't have the kind of numerical strength of the consumption.
Even the people, even those who are working there will tell you that even if they try to fix one or two things, they will still need more things to be fixed, because those refineries are old.
Exactly.
They are old, they are outdated. So even if they want to, whatever we need to do now is for us to just start from scratch. Either they sell off those refineries, because turning around is still going to cost us money. So there's no point turning around anything. Let's start afresh. Let's build more refineries. I'm not talking about modular refineries, because those ones are easier and faster to build. So in each year we can do that. In each year we can do, because this thing that NLC is talking about, I saw their statement. They were saying that even we can even collaborate with countries, neighboring countries, sell oil to them, negotiate and all that and all that. NLC, just like we are saying, they have lost faith. Because I was looking at the statement, I was thinking that they will come out categorical and say, we are giving you ultimatum. In 6 days' time, if you not reduce back, because we just left COVID, and COVID, the second wave is coming. Now we have not finished with that one. Now they are telling us to buy fuel at 170.
Now, this fuel is attached to everything.
Yes.
Now, it's a very, very difficult time to say I'm a Nigerian. Because when you go to the markets, when you go to the market and see what people are going through, as in terms of what you can purchase.
In fact,
not talk of a bag of rice, not talk of a kilo of turkey.
You know, I'm a woman. You may not even understand this as much as I do, because I don't think you will go to market as much as I do. And whatever your wife tells you, whatever your wife tells you, you can't feel it as me. Because when you go somewhere today, you buy something for 200 naira, only for you to go back 1 week after, and that thing does not even increase to 250 naira, it's now 500 naira. You begin to ask yourself, how do you cope? A friend told me that he bidded for a project and for a job, and it was, approved. Between the time it was approved and when the money was released was when this fuel increase took place. Now, the paper that was probably 1,400 jumped to 2,000 per rim. Now, the people that gave them the job are not prepared to review the contracts. Now, there is no way they will execute that contract and make anything out of it.
Where's the profit margin?
So where's the profit margin? So fuel is about, in fact, fuel is life for us in Nigeria. This is a country that does not even have regular power supply. So we depend on, we get power from our generators. Our generators run on fuel. Businesses run on fuel. So a lot of things are,
even as small as a barber shop is.
Yes.
They run on fuel.
They run on fuel. For us in Nigeria, fuel is our life.
Okay, I have David calling us from Lagos.
Yes, please. Good evening.
Good evening, David.
Yes. I like to contribute to what we are discussing.
All right, go ahead, please.
Well, my own idea is that we should be very careful. While we are talking about NSAS and the rest, we should also be very careful about those people who are cornering something that belongs to everybody. In the olden days, you have so many people making cement, importing cement and the rest. Now it's only Dangote. Now he has come up with another refinery.
No, we are not. We are not here. Mr. Dangote is a businessman. We are talking about government here. So it's allowed to operate within the ambit of how the government
allows it.
And
it's a businessman.
If he pays him,
and it's even free to exploit any situation to his advantage.
That is what
it's not for the government. So it's between him and the government.
Mr. Adeoye, when you want to look at it as this is just. It's just something that we can say that at the end of the day, the government came out. I saw the Minister of Petroleum yesterday and Minister of State for Petroleum saying that government is not responsible for this, and they've removed subsidy. They don't subsidize again, and they don't have control over the adjustment of these prices.
Government is still
regulating. If they are not regulating, what is the job of the Petroleum Equalization Fund?
He said because of the opaque cuts that we are now producing 1.4 instead of 2 million barrels, and that we are left at the mood swing of international market forces. But I don't think any responsible government will just leave its economy on autopilot, especially when you know that there's a link between economic stability, prosperity and political stability. So you can't just say we are at the mercy of the mood swing of international market. The government is helpless. What then is the role of the government? If market fluctuations is dictating the up and down, the government is to intervene in one way or the other to ensure that the citizens are not put to the wall to destabilize the system. So this idea of saying market forces, we are helpless, we cannot do anything, they should not abdicate the role of government. Government is to regulate the political economy in a way that will create prosperity and stability for the country. So I'm really not, I don't buy that argument. Other countries face the same problem, but there's a way government intervenes. I traveled from here to Ikiti. I spent 9 hours. Do you know at the time we were passing through bush part, the route that people took in 1920 to Lagos? No road. We had to pass through bush, farm settlements for almost about 30 kilometers. And the other people now took the same route. So we now have to, and that road can only take only one vehicle. We have to look for cutlass, cutting. You can imagine that. Highway that was built several years ago. No road, no water, no. So what are you saying? You say the market forces. So I don't understand what our people are talking about. They need to do something. They need to know that people are looking up to them to fix this country. And we have elected them, and we are putting all our hope on them. We have no option because this is a democratic environment. They are the only people empowered by law to fix the contradictions. They should not expect us that are not empowered to come and do it for them.
Well, this is the final. Anyway, just like we have been saying, NNPC is still regulating. And as far as they are regulating, there's nothing like they have left everything for the private sector. They have not. Fixing of these prices from PPMC, who happens to be a subsidiary of NNPC. So if if NNPC or the federal government is still a major player, they've not allowed the so-called market forces to begin to determine the correct price for us. Let them we still need the subsidy. If that is the only thing that will help us, federal government should subsidize it for us. Because there is nothing, there are all these ones that they are saying that market forces will determine. You are playing in the industry and you are saying you don't want to subsidize. We are hungry. Nigerians are hungry. And
are you hungry?
I am hungry. So let them not deceive us and say there's no more. Yes, we know that there's no subsidy in the next budget. But people are hungry outside. We might be privileged, in the little way that we are. But there are millions of people out there who are suffering because of that 170 that they are buying. Cutting of hair, I keep saying it. Barber shop, as small as a barber shop is, they use I pass my neighbor. And if you are going to cut hair of 400 naira, now it's now 1,000. So people, they should just know how this 170 increment and there's no first subsidy is affecting people's lives. Because that is how it is. Because even the so-called, when you say they are giving free meters, the free meters that they were, who did they give? Because I know in my area, I actually bought my own meter, which they've not even supplied, but I don't even want to go there. You understand? So people are suffering, and the federal government needs to really sit down. I keep saying it. We have economic team. What plans and policy have they even brought out that will cushion the effects, especially this period? Maybe the next topic we are going to discuss about the second wave of coronavirus. But if this second wave now, we don't know if they are going to lock down. If they lock down, I don't know what will happen now.
And let's look at it from the point of view that ultimately, if we continue like this, it will affect the prices of everything and the way it's going. And I'm sure the downfall driver on the street there that will experience and buy, that will buy for the new price now, will jack up his transport fare.
This is not to even say that increasing fuel price at any point in time is palatable, but doing it at this season is even most insensitive. Usually, ordinarily, under normal circumstances, when you are in ember months, close to December, Christmas period, things always skyrocket. Now, adding the fuel of price increase at a time like this, complicates the whole situation. And like I was saying before, you talk about subsidy. The market is not determining the price of this fuel as of today. So nobody should come here to deceive us that government is not subsidizing. If there is no subsidy, there should be no petroleum equalization fund. Why should I be paying the same amount for fuel in Lagos with the same person that is in Sokoto or in Maiduguri when I'm so close to the sea where the fuel is coming from? So long as we have a uniform price for petroleum in Nigeria. Nobody should come and tell us that government has removed subsidy. The subsidy is still there. Government is subsidizing, but not for everybody. If we want the market forces to determine, then remove your hand from the equalization fund. Don't waste our money on funding or subsidizing for anybody. Let us know that we are just paying the market price. But as it is now, we are not paying that market price. And we need to make that point clear.
Okay, we have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, Adewale Adoye, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And my vibrant Olabisi Dejufolu today, thank you for today's contribution. And Asuko James, thank you so much for your contribution today. And that's our offering. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.